Well, someone recently asked me if it was possible to generate a reflection on a white surface, especially using the 3D features in Photoshop CS5 Extended. And as I experimented with it, I discovered that when you create a white 3D surface and put a 3D object on it, it doesn't really generate a reflection, even using the 3D features, because it's solid white. There has to be some element of color, like gray or even another color, for the reflection to appear. But I did discover another method that actually works, and it still utilizes the 3D features. In fact, you can actually do this in CS5 and CS4 Extended by creating a 3D postcard. So what we're going to actually do is I'm going to take this image here. It's just a capture of the home page of the Planet Photoshop website. And we're going to go ahead and put this in a 3D postcard. So go into the 3D menu, go to New 3D Postcard from Layer. Puts it in 3D space. Now, unlike a repoussé object, which actually gives it volume, this is only a flat image in three-dimensional space. If I take the 3D tool and rotate it around, you can see it's still a flat image, but can go rotate around in realistic 3D space. So we're going to go ahead and take this layer and go ahead and bring it over to our working document over here. And let's go ahead and minimize this. And there we go. So now it's in 3D. I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and scale it down here a little bit. So we're using the 3D scale tool just to scale it down. And we'll go ahead and take the pan tool and just nudge it up here a little bit. So now I want to create a reflection. I'm going to do it in the same way I would normally create a 2D reflection, is by duplicating the layer. Right, like that. And then taking that duplicate layer, and I'm just going to use the axis widget right here. If you have this axis widget right here, and I'm just going to highlight over the green arrow here, and you notice it highlights it, and you've got an up and down arrow there. It allows me to slide that image up and down on that axis, and it stays constrained to that axis as long as I'm using that particular feature, the highlighted green arrow there. So I'm actually going to drag it down till it's the top of this duplicate touches the bottom of the original file right there. Let's nudge it up just there a little bit. There we go. So now, obviously, I need to flip this image because it needs to be a reflection, and so it needs to be flipped around. Well, actually, to do that quickly and easily, I'm going to go into the Layers panel, and notice we've got the texture layer right here. That's part of the 3D layer. I'm just going to double-click on that. Opens up that document. Going to go into the Edit menu. Let's actually unlock the layer first. I'm going to drag the padlock to the trash here. So with the layer unlocked, we'll go under Edit, go to Transform, Flip Vertical. Flips the image. I'm going to close that document and save the changes. And it will show that element as flipped and looks like a mirrored image there in the document. So now what we're going to do in the Layers panel here is go ahead and hold down the Shift key and select both layers and go ahead and merge these two together. So we'll go into the 3D menu, go to Merge 3D Layers. So now we have these two 3D objects. One is acting as a reflected element. So if I take my regular 3D tool and rotate this around, you can see it's still in 3D space, both layers. But now one is a reflection. Now it doesn't quite look like a reflection yet, and that's because we have to fade it and perhaps drop the opacity of it. But I am going to go and position it at an angle, very much like the one of the advertisements that the person was asking me saw about, because it was a capture of a web page that was just standing up in a 3D space. In fact, there's an advertisement like this on our Kelby Training website as well. So let's position it right there and maybe off to the side here a little bit. But now we need to set up that reflection. So we're going to go into the layer. Let's actually open up the 3D panel, because we're going to need that. So we've got two elements called background layer, and it's quickly and easily to find which one we need to work on. Just turn it on and off. So we can see it's this one right here we need to work on. So let's go into the materials section, and we'll choose that second background item. And we're going to go over here into the opacity setting and go ahead and create a new texture. And I'm going to go ahead and make it the same size as my working document. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and close that so you can see. Actually, no, we need to make it the same size as the original file that we created the 3D object from, which is this image right here. So with that, I need to go in here and look at the image size here, and I can see that this is a certain size. Now, a quick and easy way to do this is to select all and then just copy to the clipboard. And then we'll go back over here into the materials section, and again, we're going to go into that opacity setting and go to new texture, and it's going to remember those settings that we copied from the original document, and go ahead and click OK, and makes that masked file. So go ahead and reminimize that. So what it did is it created the file as indicated by the icon here, but we need to go back in here and open up that file, and there it is. Now this opacity file that we've got works like a layer mask. Black areas hide, grays show transparency, and white will reveal everything. So what I'm going to do here is just take the gradient tool and create a gradient from top to bottom, and it's going to have the black at the bottom. Let's go ahead and let's start at the bottom and drag up. It gives me a nice fade from black to white in the image. This is the fade I want on my image here. So I'm going to close this and save the changes, and then that fade will show up in my image there. And you can see it's a slight fade. In fact, if we rotate it here slightly, there you can see that fade is happening. Not quite as much as I want it to. So what we can do is go back into that. And this is the beauty of this, because it's a separate document. We can go back in there and open that file back up. And let's do this. I'm actually going to fill the layer with 50% gray. So I'm overwriting that gradient. Then I'm going to grab the gradient tool, and let's change it to the foreground to transparent gradient, which is in the preview here. And then I'm going to drag that gradient from the bottom up. I'm just going to hold the shift key down as I drag up, so it gives me a nice fade going up there. Let's actually have it fade up a little bit more. So it's going to fade it, but instead of going to white and showing 100% of the reflection, it's only going to show part of it because it's at 50% gray, giving it some more transparency. So when I close this again and save the changes, there's the reflection. It's a little bit more subtle, like you would expect it to be. And now we're getting that image nicely reflected on a white surface. So again, you're not always able to use the 3D tools to create a reflection on a 3D white surface, but using this technique, you can actually get a seemingly realistic reflection in 3D using the 3D postcard effect. Now I'm just going to add a final element to the background here. Let's just, instead of it being a solid white background, let's just add a little black fade in the background layer here. And there we've got a nice looking image. Now, last thing, of course, you need to do is open up the 3D panel and just do a quick render, because it is in low res mode. Over here in the quality menu, let's take it from interactive to ray trace draft. It'll do a progressive render, sharpen up those edges, and it will look nice and clean with a reflection on the white surface.